What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Champion Living Podcast, the only podcast crossing the lines between the sport of rodeo and fitness. Today's episode, we have the one and only Jesse Brown on. We're going to be chatting all things sports, rodeo, and beyond. We're diving in right now. You know, we're always looking for a quality protein source. That is why I look to Colorado Craft Beef for my beef needs. I'm no longer going to the store. I am putting in my order, and they are shipping it directly to my house. Some of the things I love about Colorado Craft Beef are the incredible beef sticks, on-the-go options that you can take with you, packed with protein, and the best source you can get. Again, check them out at coloradocraftbeef.com. Use our discount code ChampionLiving, all one word. Going to save you some money on that next beef order. Jesse, thanks for joining us today, brother. How are you?
Great. Thanks for having me.
Awesome, man. We're so stoked to have you on. And look at us, all of us. We got all the boys here, and we're going to break down. Man, your whole story has been really cool to keep up with, and what caught my eye in the very beginning when I heard your name because of your background a little bit. So let's kind of just start there with what did growing up look like for you? Did you play other sports? Did you rodeo as a kid? And kind of just fill us in there.
Yeah. I grew up just loving sports. I mean, I was the kid that was collecting baseball cards, and I played baseball, basketball, and football, and I couldn't get enough of it. And I mean, before that, when I was really little, my dad was he used to ride broncs, and he'd go around with some team ropings, and I was around that just a little bit, but my original love was in sports, and so I dove into that, and that's all I wanted to do, and I did that until my senior year of college. So that's just what I enjoyed to do.
What were some of the different sports you played, Jesse? Even when you were little.
Yeah, I think maybe every kid maybe plays soccer when they're really little, but I never got into that. I liked football more. That was during that season. So yeah, football, basketball were two of my favorites, and played those pretty consistently. And then baseball in the spring. We had a good group of kids. I was lucky. A bunch of good parents too. So from a little age all the way up, we kind of had the same group, and we all kind of did these three sports, and we're best friends playing these three sports together. And but I think my favorite was football and basketball for sure.
Awesome. Do you think, you obviously love playing the sports, but did you guys win at a young age? Was that like part of it? Did you get that thrill out of winning from a young age and that continued on, or is it just the love of the game kind of, or both?
I think it's both, but I think in anything, like if you're winning at it, you enjoy it more, or if you're good at something, you enjoy it more.
Absolutely.
Seeing results from that. So no, we were pretty good, and we had a pretty cool little league program here in Baker, Oregon. My uncle actually started the tackle football program. We used to only do flag, and maybe you didn't play tackle till 7th grade before, and he didn't like that, so he started I think 5th, 6th grade start tackle football. So when I was in 5th grade, we started that, and then basketball wise started even younger than that. And yeah, no, I was always lucky to be on good teams, so I think that helped spark my my love for that stuff.
Absolutely. And also, when you get a group of guys that are together that long from such a young age, and you guys grow up and learn and develop together and are on the same teams the whole time, it only adds up for the perfect combination of being pretty much unstoppable at that age group. There aren't many kids that get to be teammates for that long just because life happens. I think I moved 6 times in my childhood, so I never got that chance to grow up with one set of kids or be on one team. So that's a pretty cool experience to have at a young age, and to learn learning how to win is an art as well. And so it transfers to everything as well, not just learning how to win a basketball game or a baseball game. It teaches you how to win at whatever you want to do, essentially. When you went into high school and you were heavy into sports, then did you start specializing in sports the older you got?
Well, that's what I was going to say right there. It's also rare to keep a group like that together, because usually people branch off and specialize on one or the other.
Yeah.
And we kind of would, but we'd still play the other. Like everyone kind of had their favorites or what they were best at, and maybe focus on that a little outside the sport. But once you were in that season, so I mean, I definitely probably worked on basketball the most, to be honest with you. I remember before school, I'd go in and shoot hoops before the class started and whatnot. I mean, it was a little easier to do. You can't really go outside sometimes of the year around here and throw the ball around.
Yeah.
But you could do it in the gym. So I focused on basketball and football the most. And in the summers you always got summer baseball, there's summer everything. I mean, you could do everything you want all year long. And but yeah, I thought it was cool that this group we specialized on things, but we also did everything.
Dude, that is really cool. It makes a cool bond to have for life. Probably still keep in touch with most of those guys. That's awesome.
Yeah.
What about college? You played sports in college? Did you get were you looked at by colleges because of sports? Like, how did that work?
Yeah, I was just talking to my dad about this the other day. Actually, I went on a visit to Portland State, and it's funny, we were talking about Eastern Oregon, Western Oregon, the difference. And I went over there, and that college, I mean, was right downtown Portland, and it really wasn't for me. It didn't feel like a college campus really for me, honestly. And but it was cool to get to go, like my first visit, and say that a college like that would want you to go play ball there. But I knew that wasn't for me. So then my next visit was to Washington State in Pullman, Washington. And Go Cougs. Exactly. I like that. And I don't know, the goal was always to go to the highest level I could. And the Division I level and being in the Pac-12, that's what I wanted. And I didn't have the scholarship opportunity, but I could go for other places for maybe scholarships, but that I could go as a walk-on at the highest level and give myself a chance. And I kind of took a chance on that and bet on myself, and that's why I ended up going to Pullman, Washington State.
Dude, that's cool. That's a really cool perspective to think about too. Not everyone knows how tough sports is and how like rodeo's tough, but football, basketball, baseball, all these sports that their major leagues are so far above the PRCA right now. Like those are like the challenge to get into those programs is unreal. The competition that takes place, what you have to do, and to be able to turn down like not guaranteed, and it's like guaranteed money with a scholarship, right? And bet on yourself because that was your goal and that was your vision for what you want to do with the sport is really freaking badass, dude. And it takes a lot of, I think, some cojones to do that.
Yeah, I think that's a lesson that a lot of like high school rodeo kids right now can take from that, because when you're looking at colleges, at least for me, and I know a lot of people that I've talked to, you're really just looking to where you can go cheap, like who's going to give me the most money, or where do I get the most bang for my buck? But like if you want to rodeo beyond college, like what kind of rodeo athlete do you want to grow into, and what program is going to allow you to grow into that? And I'm sure that that's what you were seeking out with your football career, Jesse, was like, I can develop into a better athlete by going to this school as a walk-on instead of one of these smaller schools that are actually offering my money. Like, yeah, it'll be great, but I can
You won't get better.
bloom into something brand new if I bet on myself here.
Yep, exactly. And I mean, big challenge. And there's so many people so many great athletes all across the country. And I mean, everyone wants to go to Division I. It was kind of the thing is, do I have that in me? Really challenge myself there, and mentally and physically. And that dang sure happened when I went there.
What did your guys' preparation look like physically? I want to, because this is so cool, dude. I want to hear what it's. We see so many rodeo athletes put in time in the gym and they're quote unquote going hard, but that's all up to your own perception almost. Like, what is hard to you, right? What is actually preparing like a professional athlete look like? And when we were talking to these younger athletes, we talk a lot about preparation at D1 schools and, at professional sports and the level that they're doing things. like most of these guys don't even hold a candle to that kind of preparation, right? So what did that look like for you guys on a daily basis with practice, with the weight room? Did you guys have nutrition help from other coaches? Like, what was the whole prep scheme?
Yep. I will say, number one, I went in completely unprepared. I did not know it was going to be to that level or what I needed to do to prepare. So when I walked in there, I was 185 pounds, not overly quick footed. And, you know, I could run a little bit playing quarterback around here, but there, I mean, it's just a different breed of athletes. And like their preparation was better than mine getting there too.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I guess just a regular day there was, we'd have morning workouts, and that would usually like start out on the field. It depends on the season. I mean, if you're in
Absolutely.
season or out of season, but maybe start out on the field with sprint work, or you know, a lot of time we'd do lunges across the field with weighted lunges, and it was usually agility work outside, and then you'd come in and lift, and it was usually an hour and a half total, and sometimes shorter. I mean, sometimes it'd be really fast paced and be shorter, and then you'd go in and lift, and you know, everyone would pull their sheet, and you'd have a partner, and it was kind of, a lot of it was, once you were there for a while, it was kind of based on percentages of maxes.
Mm-hmm.
And so then you'd go to your rack, and you'd bust it out. I know we'd start with abs about every day, or no, we'd do quick foot ladder almost every day, and then we go into abs, and then on from there on the workout. And a lot of it was group oriented, like for example, doing wall sits or planks, like timed wise. If one guy failed, the whole group failed, then you had to start over. And I saw there was actually a guy that didn't do it, and we had to start over. And you know, a big Samoan guy got up, and they got in a fight and broke his jaw. And then that kid, I mean, that's not even, that's the real thing. And that kid, he didn't want to play no more after that, to be honest. So
that'd be enough for me too.
Yeah, I was just like, that was motivation enough. After that, you know, I was like, you're dang,
never quit again.
Stay in that plank. Yeah. And so then after the workouts, then you'd have class till whatever time, and usually like 2, or you didn't want to go past about 2, and then you'd practice, and you'd watch film before practice, then watch film after, go home, do homework, and I mean, and then it starts all over.
There is no room for doing much else than what's on that schedule, right? So you had to be on top of your stuff. You have to be able to manage everything, and to do all your homework, and to study and study film. Like, there's a lot of things going on, especially for a guy, you know, you're 18 years old. Like I wasn't, man, you were leaps and bounds ahead maturity wise than I was at that age. I couldn't focus on anything, you know? So like to have a clear vision at that age, to be able to put that to paper and get it done is really cool. And to hear about that kind of prep, like if you're a college rodeo athlete, you're there for 2 reasons: to go to college and to rodeo. I don't know why it always does that. But
balloons.
Yeah, balloons. It's happy. See, I was right. It's happy about it. A lot of guys go to college rodeo with their priorities backwards. With, again, who's going to give me the most, and where can I party the most and still rodeo a little bit, right? And there isn't much of a long game in that. So I would say a really good piece of advice for young athletes, like Paul was saying, is look at the program that you're going to, and does it align with your goals? Are you going to have the resources that you need to get better? Jesse knew that he could go to a lesser of a quality school, play in a smaller pond, and be a bigger fish, but that wasn't going to elevate him to the level that he wanted to go to. So we start looking at colleges and college rodeo programs. Like, if your goal is to make the NFR and be a world champion, you've got to go to a program that's going to help you elevate your game to that, in whatever event that is. And there's different, I would say there's a lot of event specific schools out there. There's a lot of schools that you're like, yeah, I'm going there to be a bareback rider, or I'm going there to be a steer wrestler. And that's mostly because of their coaches, right? But it's a really important thing for young guys and young girls to think about, because like I said, at that age, it's hard to focus and really see what the right thing is going to be for your future and not the right thing for you right now, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I have a question real quick. While we're talking about your college career, you kind of alluded to the fact that you weren't prepared at all when you walked in the weight room, and you said you weighed 185 pounds, which kind of begs the question, what did life look like for you as a senior? By the time you were a senior, over the 4 years of development, like, I just kind of want to hear about, like, your physical development while you were in college in that environment. What did that look like for you?
Yeah. So I guess a step I missed, before every workout, everyone line up there and you'd get on the scale and you'd weigh every day. And they'd have you either on the weight gain or you had a specific plan for you. And I mean, for them offensive linemen, they want you between 300 and 330 pounds. So, I mean, it's reality. There wasn't much weight loss going on anywhere. So,
Yeah.
and 300 whatever pounds isn't really useful for anything as a human besides being offensive lineman. And, but yeah, no, I was trying to eat a bunch, and, another challenge that they had was with the walk-ons and scholarships, as like, you don't quite get the same food program too. So you had to do a little bit outside, on your own, which made it tougher. But, yeah, like you said, Doug, you said like I was matured when I went there and stuff. And, I thought I was, but I wasn't. I really wasn't. I wasn't ready for all that. And we actually went through a coaching change. So all the coaches that recruited me after my freshman year, I mean, get there, the season's right away. So, we lost. We didn't have a very good year, and everyone got fired.
Was that when Mike Price switched out?
No, Mike Leach came in.
Leach, yeah.
Yep. Mike Leach came in. He was the new Rain. And Jason, he brought in a guy named Jason Lascauzo, and he was our weight training coach. And he ended up eventually weight training for the Bears in the NFL after he went from Washington State. But so yeah, that was cool to get guys like that. I mean, at the highest level, know their stuff. And Mike Leach is a brilliant mind.
Legend, yeah.
He's a legend for sure. Really, really weird guy, but
his interviews are my favorite, dude.
That's what I didn't realize that you played football for him, because I could geek out for 45 minutes just picking that guy's brain or learning what you learned about, because I love watching interviews with him, because it's like he's on a completely different playing field. He literally is saying things nobody knows what he's talking about, because he's just like, I think he's so intelligent, right? Or at least that's the way it would portray himself, is that he's like borderline rocket scientist. So that's super cool that you got to be around guys like that.
Yeah, no, that you're right. You could have a complete different podcast just on Mike Leach, because he was brilliant. I think he studied law in college, and just how coaching works. I mean, went through a bunch of different schools trying to find his way and find his opportunity. I mean, like anything. And then he got fired for a while, and then after he'd been sitting on the beach and no one would hire him for a minute, then Washington State did. And I was right in the middle of all that.
Damn, that's cool. That's really cool. My dad, sorry, fun fact, my dad went to Wazoo and was downhill ski racer there.
No kidding.
Yeah, 4 years. And so I actually go hunting with him and all his fraternity brothers from there every year. They've been going for 30 years out in Idaho, and they go every single year. So they're always telling old stories from Wazoo and how it's changed. And a bunch of those guys have kids that go there now, so they're able to like compare it all. So it's kind of fun to hear. So when I saw that, I was like, hell yes, go Cougars. We got something in common. Let's go.
That's where the Go Cougs come from. I was wondering. I didn't figure. Well, after we talked about where everyone was at.
I've watched Washington State football since I was probably 5 years old. Never been to a bunch of games, but like I didn't go there, but I'm still just like, I have a tie to them. I will watch them all the time and cheer for them all the time. They're my favorite.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. They've had a bunch of good quarterbacks go through the system, Washington State, and I'm not on that list by any means. Far from, but they've had some legends go through there.
Here's the deal. lots of rodeo gear companies are coming out, but not all are equal. Beastmaster is really setting the bar when it comes to the equipment that is built for durability and designed for success in the arena. You guys can check them out at beastmasterrodeo.com. Use our discount code ChampionLiving24. That's ChampionLiving24. Going to save you a little bit at checkout. Hui has the best gear because it's tough. It's durable. It withstands the test of what we put it through, and that is why I am a big supporter of Hui brands. Guys, from hats, apparel, whatever you need, they've got you covered. They are the perfect blend of rodeo style and athletic performance. You can check them out at huibrands.com. Use our discount code ChampionLiving, all one word, is going to save you a little bit at checkout. Who was the starter when you were playing?
Connor Holiday.
Cool.
At the time, he broke a bunch of passing records. I mean, when Leach come in, we were throwing 60, 70 times a game. So,
yeah.
I mean, maybe as you should, but he was putting up big numbers. And, yeah.
Man, really cool. So, you didn't finish at Wazoo. Did you end up transferring?
Yep, I did. And I guess took a risk on myself going there, and it didn't really pan out at all to how I wanted it to. And I was there for 3 years and was a backup and, you know, learning and pushing myself, but I didn't see it going where I wanted to. And then that's when I was kind of looking for other avenues, and I ended up transferring. Well, I guess first I decided I wanted to do rodeo. And so at Washington State,
just on a whim.
Pretty much. I mean,
that's awesome.
Sports have been my whole life, and I knew I wasn't done competing. I love that. I love competing, and I knew it wasn't football anymore, and I didn't know what it was going to be, and I was looking, and it kind of just hit me that had always kind of been there, just in the background, but I never gave it a chance. And so I decided I'd try rodeo, and I had some pretty good connections through some of my dad's friends and through where I lived, and so that's the avenue I went.
Dude, that's so cool.
And from what I read, Jesse, is you entered your first rodeo and had never jumped a steer before. Is that right?
That's pretty close. I'd never jumped and caught and thrown down a steer.
Okay.
Have you ridden a bull? I've been on a few.
I've been on a few.
Yeah. So yeah, what a lot of people don't know, I entered the college rodeos when I was at Washington State. I just started as an independent because they didn't have a team. I think that's what it's called. And yeah, and they didn't have a team, so my dad used to rodeo with Butch Knowles, and a little bit. He kind of circuit rodeo, but he'd go with them guys sometimes, and he rode saddle broncs. And so then through Butch connection was Blake Knowles and Trevor Knowles. So basically, I think I didn't even know Blake at the time, and he's one of my really good buddies now. But I think my dad maybe called up Butch and said, you know, Jesse's entered in the college rodeo, and wherever it was, maybe Walla Walla, Washington. And but he's never jumped a steer. Could Blake help him? And so yeah, I went over to Blake's house, and I've told this story before, but he had his good horse that he's rode at the NFR before, and far above the level I was at, because I will say, starting from scratch, for anybody that hasn't rodeoed, the hard on the time event side, especially, like, the horsemanship part is the hardest thing. It's still, I mean, that's probably my biggest weakness, and has been the hardest thing for me to get good at. And so I didn't know how to ride, and I think Blake thought I had rode more at a different level, and put me on this horse, and I go to warm up around the back, and this horse is just running off like bulldog horse does, and I'm flopping around, and then pretty much backs me in there, and I go to running a few, and landed on my head, landed on my hip. I mean, just not catching these cattle. And I think he saw before I get hurt, we better just call it. And then I went to the college rodeo.
Oh,
That's awesome.
funny, man. Yeah, that sounds very similar to at least how I started. I bought a rigging from a tack shop that was from about 1970, entered a rodeo and slapped that baby on. And I did a barrel roll to half jump out, I think. I don't even
Yeah.
remember. Yeah, just wasn't pretty.
Didn't kill yourself though.
No, hey, here we are.
Yep.
I did that more times, I think, too, than just that once. But that's a funny story, man, and a hell of a way to start your rodeo to career. Blake and Trevor are legends in steer wrestling. They
Yeah.
and obviously Butch is a legend as well. But those two guys are two. They're the first two I really remember growing up and watching and being like, damn, those guys are super fast, super strong, and can throw a steer. So getting taught by them is, man, what a good place to fall into. Getting that kind of wisdom that you get to have and talk to and learn from. How did that all develop for you? How did your career develop with them and to getting to where you are now? I mean, how long has it been since you started rodeoing?
I was so when I decided to, I was 21. I remember I could drink beer when I was first started Bulldog, and then it was kind of, I was talking to Blake and them guys about where I need to go to college because I knew Washington State. I was trying to do that on my own, and it wasn't going to work. I needed a lot of reps. I needed a lot of time into this, and so I kind of asked them where I needed to go because I didn't know anything about rodeo number one, bulldog, and college rodeo. I was in the dark, and they suggested Montana State, to maybe go look at some schools in Montana. And so Bo Clark was at Montana State, and is the reason they suggested that. And he played football at Montana State, and then he bulldogged. He made the NFR. Like we had a connection. I mean, a similar story there. And I think that was easy connect at first. And so Mike True was the coach, and basically called them up and asked if I could maybe come to school there and rodeo, and asked my experience level, and it's slim to none, and if I had a horse and I didn't, and all these things. And he said, obviously we're not gonna give you a scholarship, but you can come. We definitely like you to come and learn here. So I remember me and my dad, we packed up, and we went to, they're having a bulldogging school that weekend at Copper Springs, which this beautiful ranch out there. I was just outside of Bozeman, that used to be there. And anyway, they're having a bulldogging school, so we drive up there and gonna go to that, and show up, and it was a lot of younger kids than me for sure. That was kind of the weirdest part at the beginning. I was 21 and just been playing college football, and then there's like this 14-year-old kid that I mean, he slides the dummy better than me, but
Yeah.
it's just a completely, like, I was going up against these freak athletes from Florida and California, and then I'm here and I'm a baby deer. I don't even know how to walk, and it was a bizarre feeling, a bizarre switch. And so I'm at Copper Springs trying to learn how to bulldog with these younger kids from Montana mainly. And Brian Anderson, he ran the ranch there at Copper Springs. And I think everyone always thought I knew more about this than I actually did, and at the beginning especially. And so he threw me on a horse and to ride one and lead one, and I'm going around the arena just hopping around and not paying attention. And the saddle on the horse I'm leading rolls, and it gets under this horse I'm leading, and everyone starts yelling at me, and it's just a complete wreck. And I just look like a newbie, and I'm embarrassed. And it's so then go through the school at Copper Springs, and that's where I met Bo Clark. And that was my, like, one of my first bulldogging real schools. And I ended up really liking Bozeman, and that's why I decided to go there.
Dude, that's a cool story. Bozeman is a great place. What an ego check, huh? Like coming from, like, having to really, most guys coming from a scenario that you were in, or a what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. This elite level athlete getting challenged, like you said, some of the biggest freaks on the West Coast, and then you show up to this school and you literally have high school kids, doing things better than you, and it's
Yep.
infuriating because of just your natural. You want to win, you want to compete, you want to be good at what you're doing because that's who you are. And man, most guys would quit. Most guys wouldn't even follow through with that second day. I don't think they'd be so wrapped up in their own just being pissed off with themselves. But to be able to humble yourself, to be able to learn, and yeah, you're surrounded by high school kids, but hey, those kids are going to learn a shitload from you, and believe it or not, you're going to take away a bunch from them too, just because of where you are at the level of learning, right? And that applies for everything. So that's cool, man, to be able to humble yourself at that age and go to a school where it's just beginners and learn. And we run into that a lot with what we're trying to do. Is we have an academy we started for rough stock riders. We're trying to do timed events as well, but rodeo schools have this stigma of they're just for beginners. They're only for someone just learning. But when you look at the sport of rodeo, there's nowhere to develop yourself, right? There's no like combine prep camps or like D1 football prep clinics. Like you look that up on the internet, football, baseball, basketball, there's probably 10 in every major city in the US. And they're all run by extremely knowledgeable coaches and great associations or organizations. In rodeo, we don't have that, right?
Nope.
We have very entry-level schools, learn how to get into the sport, and then maybe we'll see at the NFR in 10 years. I don't know. Like there's no help, right? So we've tried to create this academy that is this a developmental camp or clinic for athletes that teaches them not just how to ride a bucking horse or a bull, but the professional skills they'll need to do that. And so I think it takes a lot of the culture has to change in order for these guys to realize that just because you're at this level, to get better, you're going to have to humble yourself and go learn and say you don't know something to get better at that thing. And that's what we kind of, just how we are as cowboys. We're naturally hard-headed, right?
Yes.
And, we don't want to say we're wrong, or we don't want to do new things, and we always know what's right. So sometimes that can be to a detriment.
Yeah, and that's awesome you guys started that, because especially for somebody coming into the sport that has no ties, like I was lucky that I just had that tie to the Knowleses. But if I didn't have that, I really probably wouldn't have known or how to get in contact with somebody to learn that or whatever. And if you're able to just look that up and start from zero, that's a pretty good resource right there.
Yeah, I've been looking at pro rodeo a lot, and not just the sport, but the demographics that pay attention to the sport. The sport has been growing a lot, especially since COVID. We've seen the money has increased every year. The amount of guys entering is increasing as well. But what I fear is when you look at the numbers of who's viewing the sport, the age groups from 25 to 35 are only about 9 to 11% of total viewership. We get into 40 to 70 years old, we're at like 70 to 80% of our total viewership. So creating opportunities for people that weren't involved in rodeo in the very beginning to be able to go to a place and have an opportunity to get a fair shot at learning everything you're going to need to know to be professional and be a successful professional rodeo athlete is like, it has to happen in order for the sport to grow. Right? We have to get the younger kids introduced to this, and not just younger kids in the Western industry or Western way of life, but in urban areas. There's so many guys that are freak athletes at baseball or football or basketball, and maybe they aren't, that's not going to be their passion forever, but something like rodeo could be, something like this definitely could be. And if we start changing the culture and changing the amounts of opportunities there are for people to come just learn about what we do and what's available out there. And I think that's the next biggest thing for rodeo. And that's why we're spearheading this thing, is like, we want to give out this information. So how many guys, and this happens a lot more in rough stock, but are so talented and you see go and they just stop because they just feel like they're running their head through a wall over and over and over, and they never get anywhere because it takes 10 years to learn all the things you need to do that, right?
Yeah.
Like if you don't have this information, everyone that's paved these paths has learned all of these things on their own, and it's taken a long time. Like we talked to Caleb Bennett's a big part of our school and our organization. He's got 10 NFR qualifications. It took him 5 years to make his first NFR. After our first school, he's like, if I had this when I was going, I would have been an NFR in 2 years, guaranteed. Well, how much more money could I have won over that 3 years being at the NFR? How many more sponsors could I have had? Like it could have changed his life a little bit more, And so we just got to create more opportunities for every event, for people to be able to get into and to hear it firsthand from a guy that never rodeoed, but it was in your family and around you the whole time is cool, because I think there's a lot of people out there that rodeo is a lot closer than you think if you just kind of look out there, right? Which is a cool thing. What about so when you went to college at Montana State, what did your evolution look like as a steer wrestler there? Were you continuing? Yeah, like what did you do for your training? Did you continue like not necessarily the same training, or did you as football, or did you use the same work ethic and apply it to more of like sports specific training that you were trying to gain?
Yeah, originally I said I never wanted to do a squat again because
And there,
oh my gosh, yeah, we did so many of those. I was over that. So, but I knew that wasn't realistic. I took a little break from squats, but I kind of took kind of the same workouts and kind of kept on that path. And maybe not like the sprint work and stuff like that as much, but because I was still trying to gain weight. So I took a lot of the stuff I learned football wise in the weight room, and then was applying it at Montana State.
mm-hmm.
And but then besides that, like in the arena, I was just trying to run as many steers as I possibly could, and learn as much as I could from Bo and watch as many videos. I mean, I was on YouTube, on social media, like whatever it was. I was watching guys that were good at what they do, good at bulldogging. I mean, I was watching them and seeing things I like, seeing things, just learning, and running steers pretty much just run them back. And Bo was awesome about that. He said, if you want to run a team rope steer when he comes in, feel free. And he kind of clashed with some people, but if I was there to kind of be beyond college rodeo, I guess, and I think he could see that, and I just so he let me run as many steers as I could, and then when college rodeo season was over and our steers were gone, I would lease the barn there at this college and lease some steers, and me and another buddy would go in there and just practice on our own.
Dude, that's huge. You got to do the thing to be good at it. You can work out as hard as you want. You can do all the nutrition, all the extracurricular activities that make you a good athlete. But if you're not doing the actual thing, you're never going to get that great at it. So to hear, like, you became a master of the craft, man. Like, that was your goal. Everything you were doing involved getting better at steer wrestling and whatever it took to get there. And I think a lot of folks run into quote unquote roadblocks, but they're roadblocks that you can easily get over. For instance, the barn closing in the summer. Well, you just leased that and a pin of steers and had a buddy there and just didn't take no for an answer, right? There's always an opportunity is kind of what I'm getting at here. It's just how bad do you want it? And that's pretty dang cool. And the football training definitely translates to steer wrestling. If there's one event in this sport, it is steer wrestling. That would be a very common crossover in a lot of things that you do.
I love how Jesse seems to have attacked this, one might say, almost backwards.
Yes.
From most rodeo athletes. And we can look and see a pattern. We can see, Cade Saunier. I'm sure there's been a lot of others, right? He's just who comes to mind. I know Tim O'Connell didn't start till later. Maybe Kelly Timberman. I can think of a handful of rough stock guys that they were very, very competitive in, call it maybe mainstream sports early on. And so they were physical. They were body awareness was great. And so then all they need, and that's what we've said, is all they need is the reps doing the thing. You have the physical capabilities. And so many of the young athletes we see, they just rodeo. And we're talking about sports specialization. And at 14, all they do is steer wrestle. And so how many guys do we see in mainstream rodeo that have been very successful without the weight room or without really paying attention to their nutrition? Quite a few. Yeah. And so then that becomes modeled for the 14-year-olds that I don't really need to be in the weight room. I just need to run more steers. And but for sure, the skill is such a big part of it. But I don't think we can overlook some of your quick, if you want to call it quick. I know it doesn't feel like quick to you, but
Yeah.
from the outside looking in, quick success would be the fact that you're fully developed when you learned. You learned absolutely no bad habits because you had absolute legends teaching you the sport from the very beginning, and you knew how to move your body, and you were physically capable. And so I love that. I love how you have approached the sport, and I think that it is a big reason why you've done as well as you have.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it is like you said, it amazes me that some of these, like the old school way that some of these guys got so good and had such long careers and were so athletic in their events, but didn't do anything outside of that. Like you said, maybe even never played sports growing up or never touched a weight. And yeah, for them to stay healthy that long and be that good is I'm not sure how they did it.
I think it was a lifestyle difference too. Like back then, it wasn't even that long ago, but
Yeah.
even their lifestyle back then, a lot of guys were still doing a lot of manual labor, working outside, working on ranches. They were riding horses all day, being outside. They are physically active throughout the day. We look at today's world, man, and there is a hard cutoff of guys that do physical labor or even play other sports like football or baseball and get out there and do stuff. Like a lot of these schools, we run into kids that, man, they haven't been off the couch a whole lot. They're not doing a whole lot. And so those guys in those older generations were physically already strong because of manual labor they were doing. Like, dude, I just ran an auger the other day. I haven't done that in like a long time. That thing kicked my absolute ass. And I had my whoop on, and it says it was like an 18 strain. I haven't had an 18 strain since I was training for the CrossFit Games. Like, I was like, if you did that and ate well, you would be a machine, like, because they are still working hard. And so muscles are still strong, tendons are still strong from the manual labor. But again, today's world, we've just got a lot of fluff. And that doesn't even mean that they're overweight or anything. They're just soft. They're not physically prepared to do anything. They haven't had training in not even just how to move their body in sports, but you worked out for junior high, high school, college. You had all of this development. And then you take that natural ability or that athletic development to any sport and give you reps, you're going to probably be pretty damn good at it. And so to see, and we've said that's the secret sauce from the beginning. A lot of so many of us are putting the cart before the horse here, and I want to be a great bareback rider at 12 years old. That's all I'm gonna do is get on mini ponies and get on the spur board, and that's it. And then by 16, they're so wrecked they can't even move, and that's what we're trying to avoid here. And telling stories like yours, man, helps us do that in a big way, because junior rodeo, high school rodeo, that shit doesn't matter in the grand scheme of it. The big picture is the NFR, and if you want to make a living and be a legend in rodeo, that's where you do it, is in the PRCA.
Yeah.
All of these things can be stepping stones to get you there.
I agree. What do you think about like specializing early on? I mean, I'm not a Yeah, I hate it too. I don't.
I think
I'm not just talking rodeo either.
No,
like
anything.
Oh yeah,
anything.
We just talked about that the other day. Is that 12-year-old that only plays baseball and they're on travel teams year round? You need the development that comes from all kinds of sports, right? Like these kids need to learn how to run. They need to learn how to tackle. They need to learn how to hit a ball and catch a ball. They need to learn how to jump. They need to learn all of those things that come from, man, if they, I can't speak for other parents, but I know that I can speak for myself. And if my kids show an inkling of interest, whether it's in gymnastics, baseball, like we'll do whatever we can to keep them in those sports for as long as possible. And I would love it if I would love nothing more than for my son to be a successful rodeo cowboy. I would. But I would really like it if we just didn't start that till he was about 19 or 20. If he could just be a rock star athlete in high school and play sports, all three sports like you did. And then one day is like, man, I don't know if college, going to a D1 school is for me. How about riding some bareback horses? Dude, you have the athletic ability. Give me 6 months and I'll have you spurring stuff. Like you just because the athletic ability is what is so hard, and it takes years of adolescence to develop that through playing multiple sports.
Yeah.
And well, we're all, I think, of one mind in that, like,
Yeah, big
over
believers.
specialization in any sport at any age, it does not serve them well in the long term.
Yep. Do it. I mean, and mind wise, it's good to get your
I was-
mind off that one
exactly.
sport or one whatever it is, and
The burn.
go do something else. And you come back and you're going to be better at the original sport.
Mhm.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Keeping the theme on the mindset. So, like, we've talked about your advantage of having this physical development from other sports and stuff, but you probably learned a lot of mindset, or I don't want to say mental hacks, but like mental skills, as far as the mentality of being an elite athlete throughout all of your career. And then that obviously that one story stands out where in a team sport setting you can't just quit when it gets hard. Like, you've got to keep pushing on because you've got a team relying on you. And your example of the dude getting his jaw broke because he gave up early. Like, so how much of that mentality, or what lessons did carried over into rodeo from your football career, or any sport career?
I think rodeo is it's more comparable in a mind. I mean, it's a huge mind game, and but it's kind of more compared to baseball, because I think, than football, as far as the how it's played. Like, it's kind of the long game, and um, it like, you run a steer 3 seconds, and then you have to drive however long and to do another one. And like in baseball, you're up maybe first, and then you got to wait 9 guys to go again. It's like in football, it's next play, next play, next play. You mess up, you can fix it that next play right now. But rodeo, you got to wait, so you get time to think about it. And some guys can get in their own head in a good way or a bad way. And so yeah, I did learn some mental toughness. And I mean, going in there at 18 not being prepared also, I think made me tougher. And that coaching change, and when I got there, I think I was not at the top of the food chain by any means. I was more at the bottom, and so I had to work my ass off just to hang. And we do these things that Michael Leach brought in. They were called midnight maneuvers, and it was in the off season. And uh, we'd go in on this indoor arena at midnight, and they'd do that so you'd have to wake up. And I mean, it was hard. And they'd have this course set up in there, all different things. And it was hard, and it was like an hour long. And they'd have a person at each station that would grade you on what you did. And then at the end of the day, you'd either get a black shirt for being exceptional, a gray shirt was in the middle, and then a pink shirt if you did bad or slacked or whatever it was, to kind of shame you. And you had to wear those for the workouts that night. So then everyone would know if if you're being a puss, you're wearing a pink shirt. I mean, it was public shaming is what it was. And it was pretty effective. It's like, you don't want that pink shirt. I mean, just work harder. And I mean, it wasn't just for how hard you worked. It was how, like, if you were doing the drills correct, or knocking cones over, or things like that. And then what they did a lot, they'd put you up against other guys in non-football related things as well. Like, I remember they'd have a ring, just a big hoop on the ground, and you'd get matched in there with somebody, and it was who got pushed out of the ring first. Or just a wall sit face to face with somebody who's going to sit there the longest. And then you got points individually or for your team that you were on. And so, I mean, it was just who's tougher type of thing. And I think that helped me a lot, because I wasn't more athletic, so I just had to be tougher, I guess.
Dude, I love that. That makes me happy to hear about, because that is full on accountability at its best, and you don't get to hide from it, right? You got that color that shows exactly how you showed up. And like, I like that it was about more than just how hard you worked, how you did the drills, how did you show up for the entire practice. And there's a big difference between, man, we talk about this so much on this, about the spur board and anything you do in practice. Like, you can go practice as much as you want. If those reps don't have intent behind them, don't have focus, if you're not doing the fundamentals correctly, you're just putting in the work, those reps don't get you anywhere. It's the perfect reps, and the doing things correctly is what matters, what's going to project you further in your training, and what makes the training work is so important. It's like, if everyone could go into the gym just with the mentality that like, I'm going to get one of these 3 colors of jerseys when I leave here. I better make sure it's not the pink one, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, that would be a huge thing, I think, for guys to just have a little mind game with themselves about. That's cool. That's really cool. And that's another big thing that's different from rodeos. We don't have teams, right? We don't have these team settings where we can feed off each other, but in a traveling partner sense, we do. And so the guys that you get in the truck with you and you're going down the road with, damn sure better make sure that they are going to be those guys that hold you accountable, that call you a puss when you need to hear it, you know, that give you a pat on the back and say, hell yeah, good job. Let's keep rolling too. Like, it's a well-rounded thing. And we've talked about it a few times, the importance of traveling partners on this show, but you know, we hear it time and time again, what it can do for you. And you got in the truck with Blake and Trevor, right? Once you got everything figured out and started pro rodeoing.
My originally my so I didn't want to buy my card till after I graduated at Montana State, and I ended up going to college for 6 years because NCAA eligibility doesn't conflict with rodeo. So when I got to Montana State, I had a lot of time left, and I think the age maybe 24 is how long you can do it. But
I think, yeah,
I maxed it out for sure. And, but when I graduated in 2017, and then that was my rookie year, and I bought my card, and I was traveling with Mike McGinn and Logan's old guy, Wyatt Journey.
Wyatt Journey. I remember you coming swinging by from time to time and parking at the arena, and you guys be running some steers and stuff and hanging out.
Yep. I went down there and tried to find some practice a few times, and but I was traveling with them for the first part of the year, and then they had that rodeo in Salt Lake, and it paid 50,000 and it counted, and I didn't know what I was doing full-time rodeo, and I went to a few of I went to Fort Worth that winter and just went to some. I'd never been down south, and so that was cool, and kind of an eye-opener. And you know, you're no longer at the college rodeo where, well, you know, a 5-second might place. I mean, these guys, they were doing things maybe not as correct. Like, I was always focused on trying to do things so correct that almost hindered me on being fast sometimes. Yeah, a little bit. And so like these guys were exposing themselves so much, and I was kind of mind blown by it at first. But when there's 100 and whatever guys going, you got to expose yourself. And I mean, you want to do things correct, but expose yourself at the same time. So that took me a while to kind of gain. And I think that's what I first seen at that slack in Fort Worth is what I noticed. But anyway, but went to the Salt Lake rodeo, and I made the short round and had a chance to win that 50,000. I was riding Trevor Knowles' horse, Earl, at the time. And you know, all of a sudden it's like, if I actually win this 50, like, I can make the NFR, and I have no business making the NFR yet. Like, I know that, but I honestly, I think I hit my steer on a leg to probably win first, and I think Ralph Smith ended up winning it, and he ended up going to the NFR instead. And I'm kind of glad I didn't go then, because I was not ready, but it was a good tool right there to I mean, put yourself in those pressure positions that many times. It's good for you. And I was walking out, and I remember John Raggett, he was a bulldogger, and my head was kind of down, and I was like, just, you know, missed my chance at NFR, thinking that kind of thing on one rodeo. And he's like, yeah, he pretty much said that to me. And he's like, you know, just keep putting yourself in those situations. He's like, you're gonna be there. He's like, I can already see it. And that was pretty cool. And then after that, Blake and Trevor wanted me to travel with them the rest of that year. And you know, that was like a dream come true. You know, like, they're, especially being from Oregon, those are like the two of the best bulldoggers out of Oregon ever, and in all of rodeo. So I hopped in with them and got to go and finish the year, and that was awesome. I mean, anything a guy could ask for. I got so lucky being a rookie and getting to do that.
Yeah, that's so cool. So cool. What how many NFRs have you qualified for?
The last 4.
The last 4. That is freaking awesome. You've been doing this 6 years, 7 years?
17 was my rookie year. Yep. And then, but I permit for 2 years. So 15. Yep. 2015.
Man, pretty cool. Really cool to hear about. Like, again, we've talked about this so many times, these guys that come from just a natural athletic background that are played all these sports, have done a lot of things, know their body, are strong, and take those skills and that mindset, and they dominate in rodeo. And I think that you've got a long road ahead of you of some domination coming up, man. It's been fun to watch, really fun to watch. What do you think, young guys listening, amateur rodeo guys? And I think I see this a lot in steer wrestling. Just they're big guys. You can be big and wrestle a steer, but also we see a lot of it's not just big, right? You need to be strong, you need to be stable, you need to be powerful. We see a lot of non-contact injuries, meaning like a horse doesn't step on them, the steer doesn't run them over, they simply plant their feet and blow their knee out, right? Happening in these events where you have to dismount a horse. How important is the training for you now? Like you had a huge background, but for these guys that are just getting started, or maybe are really good steer wrestlers but have never done anything else, what do you think your biggest piece of advice for them would be when it comes to their physical training and conditioning?
Yeah. I mean, the gym is just as important for I've heard you guys on here too, is injury prevention just as much as getting stronger.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually I tore my knee in Pendleton last year. I got knocked out and I partially tore my MCL and cracked my leg. And so that was in September. And I was, yeah, that whole story is a different deal. But after that started, or after that happened, I even more consciously started looking into like some of that knees over toes guy. And a lot of that, and I mean, started riding the bike a little more as a warm up, and just some band work and a lot of leg stuff. And I mean, that is so that, yeah, I think it's so big. And because we know as bulldoggers, we know our main injuries are our knees and our pecs and our shoulders. So I mean, that's what we should focus on strengthening, so we can maybe avoid that and prolong our careers.
Absolutely, dude. Absolutely. And the fact of the matter is, if you don't prepare your body and you start getting into these elite competition scenarios, something is going to happen. Your body will not be prepared for it. I was thinking about when you said, talking about Fort Worth, and you're watching these guys kind of give it all, throw it all out there and lay it all out in the line.
Yep.
And I thought about your first story when you got started about flopping around the horse and just not really knowing anything. You could have still sent it and it would have gone really, really bad still, right? You have to have that foundation, that strength, and be able to control the chaos before you can add more chaos to it. And so watching or hearing your story about your start, it was chaotic when you started. It is for everybody. There's a lot of things happening, especially if you're not a horseman or someone who's been ridden horses your entire life. It's a lot. It's hard to process it all. It takes time. And so when we start talking to younger kids, and Logan said, I'd love for my kids to be rodeo athletes, to be successful, but if we could start that at 19 for some of these events, it would be great, because of the foundation that you can create up until that point. So they're already used to managing chaos. They're used to doing different things. And also, my biggest piece of advice for people that want to get into this and they have young kids, if they've never ridden horses, go get them horseback. Legit, go get them horse riding lessons. Get them on a horse, teach them how to be around livestock and read the animal and be comfortable on them, because that is going to elevate them leaps and bounds. If you had all of the skills you had and were just a recreational horse rider, dude, you probably would have picked it up even faster. It probably would have been even crazier how much quicker you would have gone. And my brother's another good example, Richie. The kid loved bull riding. Like, JB was his like hero growing up, and Richie was the worst bull rider there is. No, terrible. But he rode horses his entire life. He's a world champion mounted shooter as a kid, literally horseback every day of his life. And I kept begging him, you've got to get on a bareback horse, dude.
Get on a horse.
It'll go better. Finally, we go to some rodeo. I'm like, if you buck off here, we're going to the practice pin tomorrow and you're getting on a horse. He's like, whatever. Sure enough, he gets like half jumped or something. And I'm like, all right, we're going to the practice pin. Get him on first one. Granted, it's the perfect first horse. It just kind of lopes and kicks and pisses all over you. But He marks her out and legit spurs her ass around the entire circle. First one ever. And I'm like, holy smokes, but he's played sports, played lacrosse, downhill ski race. Like, we've done a lot of things as kids. He had a lot of development, knew horses, knew how to ride horses. It was only natural for him to pick up that motion instantly. And then 20 horses later, he's got his permit and he's 89 in his first pro rodeo. So it's like, it's wild to think about. And we named all of these people that have done this. And we always tend to bareback riders because that's where most of us came from, or the rough side of things. But it doesn't matter what event they're in. If you're athletic and you have put in time at this, you're good. You have the chance to be really good at it. And that's the cool thing about this sport is anyone can do it. And that's proof right here. Not anyone, but you don't have to come from a rodeo family or grown up rodeoing to be an NFR caliber athlete and a world champion caliber athlete, which I think you're well on your way to, brother.
Thanks. Yeah, I think, like you said there for your brother, that's just kind of the perfect storm. He knew how to control his body, been on the horses. He just needed to find that event right there. Yeah, do the deal.
Yeah, that's it, man. That is it. Guys, you got any other questions for Jesse?
Yeah, Jesse, just real quick before we wrap this up, like, you had kind of what we might refer to as like an unconventional start in rodeo, being later. And I feel like a lot of guys that started at the age that you started at, they feel like they're really behind. Do you have any advice that you would give to somebody that maybe they're, late teens or even in their 20s like you were, like, for getting started? Is there anything that you would do differently than what you did? Or can you kind of more clearly see, like, this would be a better way to start? Do you have any advice for those guys?
I would say get in contact with, whether it's a school or somebody, get in contact with the best guys around you and learn from them, and then just work your ass off. I really think that's, from the base level, I think that's the best way to approach it.
We hear that. We just heard that from Josh Frost too. Joe, talking about bull riding. Like, same thing. Like, go learn from experts. Go to a school. Go get the education and learn the proper fundamentals, because that is the baseline for anything in life. Whether it's sports, rodeo, business, you've got to have a foundation to build on. And that foundation in the sport of rodeo I cannot stress enough how important it is. Logan talks about this all the time at our schools, and said it a couple times on the show about the number of reps it takes to build proper muscle memory or master something, and the amount of reps that it takes to correct bad habits and relearn it the correct way is almost, what is it, 5 times?
It's 10 times more.
10
Yeah.
times.
Yep.
Insane. So we are, and how many young kids do we see with the worst habits, the worst fundamentals? And as they grow, they continue to do those. And so by the time they're 17, decide, I want to be really good at this. Ooh, we got 7 years of rewinding to do to get back to here. So that's why I think that, hearing what you had to say about going to the school, get the right fundamentals, invest in yourself. If this is something you want to do, make the investment. It's not, you can't figure it out on your own, but it's not going to be fun and probably not going to be that successful.
Just get yourself around it as much as you possibly can. Whatever you got to do that, if you live in a big city and you're not going to be able to be around it, you're going to have to maybe make a big life move right there. If that's really what you want to do, you got to, whatever it takes to get there. I remember I started going down to Arizona practice because we no indoor arena down up here, and I'm not complaining. That's I'm lucky to get to do that. That's awesome. The weather's better, but you just got to go wherever you got to do to get those reps.
Absolutely, dude. I love it, man. Thanks again for coming on today, brother. This was an awesome episode, and we'll catch you down the road here soon.
Yeah, thank you guys. Thanks for having me.
Y'all, if you're having trouble sleeping or you've got really achy muscles, Power Pro CBD has teamed up with us to bring you their tinctures and their warming lotions. Guys, these have been a crucial part of my nightly routine. Y'all can check them out at PowerPro, PWRpro.com. Use our discount code ChampionLiving, all one word, to save you a good chunk at discount.